Good afternoon, Falcon Faithful. You know what time it is. This is your boy, the historian. We got the pregame meal for you today. The last meal, as we would say, for the season or whatnot. Or you can say it like Snoop Dogg's old album, the last meal, period. But hey, last game of the season. Let's go ahead and go out with a bang. But we got some stuff that we're going to talk about today that's been on the minds of many. So this is the pregame meal, y'all. Let's get to it. BirdCage. Good morning. You know what time it is. You either get right or you get left. It's time for you to get right and get up in the cage this morning and pull up a chair and let's get some of this good vittles that we got going for you this morning. Man, it's all, even though the season has been a bit of an up and down disappointment, ladies and gentlemen, we already know how that goes. You also have to look at the fact that it's a lot of stuff that's got to go right. And it didn't, but it's okay. Because right now, you have a chance to sweep the division rival, the arch rival Saints at this point. And I'm looking at it like an opportunity to do a little something before 2-something today. So I'm okay with sweeping the Saints. This right here is the Super Bowl now for us because of the fact that we're not going to be able to compete for one. But for us to sweep them is beautiful. At this point, I don't care who gets in. We're still going to be tied for first place. My light keeps trying to fall on me. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. But let's be honest. When you sit back and you look at it, the Falcons and the Saints have started to play good football at the wrong part of the year. The part that doesn't matter. Right now, the Bucks and the Pussycats, and that's what I call the Panthers, they're pulling for each one of us to knock each other off. Because either win or loss, either way, it's going to affect one of those two teams of getting a playoff spot and also a division title. The Panthers are rooting for us. The Bucks are rooting for the Saints. This is nasty work right here. When I say it's nasty, it's just, it just makes you just want to just,
oh, Heavenly Father,
just flush the toilet, man. That's one of them things where it make your stomach bubble. You know what I'm saying? And you just have to get a courtesy flush because I don't need y'all pulling for me. I don't like y'all. We don't like y'all. We don't like the Panthers. We don't like the Saints. We don't like the Bucks. But at the same time, one of these fools are going to be pulling for us. Go for it. But my thing is this. I actually get to enjoy possibly sweeping the Saints. Anytime you can beat the Saints, it's a good day. It's a great day. I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, hey, what are we going to do with this? And how can we put ourselves in position for the rest of the season to build for next year? That's the question. Because we have to build on this momentum because you have the draft coming up. You have offseason coming up. There's a lot of questions right now from what we've been hearing when it comes to the chatter. You got Terry Fontenot possibly going to lose his job at the end of the season from the rumors. But I'm not taking it in stride. But they're saying that Fontenot could lose his job and you keep Raheem. That's ass backwards to me. If I'm Terry Fontenot, I'm just at a point where I just want to tell people,
kiss my ass.
After the draft that I gave y'all the last 2 years, giving you great players, helping bring in defensive players that have turned this team around, the only thing we got to fix now is the depth of this offense. And y'all are ready to get rid of me. And I wasn't the problem when Arthur Smith was here. Got your damn mind. That is how I feel about it. Terry Fontenot, to me, has earned his place of having another year. He helped us get out of the negatives when it came to the money in the books. He helped us draft great players so far. The issue is this. The only thing that hasn't worked out is Braylon Trice, Troy Anderson. Just going to be real with you on that. We got to see what Penix looks like because, being honest, y'all can say what you want. Penix ain't worked out yet. Period. Yet. That's why I say yet. We have to give him some time. But at the same time, he got to be thrown in there too. Don't give a damn. He's had more than 13 games. I care less. At this point, I'm looking at it from this standpoint. Terry has given this team great pieces. He's given them great pieces. What's going on, Nando? What's up, Zach? Johnny. Nando and Johnny, welcome to the pregame meal. A lot of us are sitting back trying to figure this out. This team has been up and down like the old Scream Machine roller coaster that used to be in Six Flags over Georgia back in the day. For my old heads out there. But if you really look at it, I'm not putting all this on Terry. You got to put this on the man that's running the show. Kind of like, I'll be honest with you, folks. It's kind of like right now, you got a guy that's just as stubborn as hell. Kirby Smart is in that same category with Raheem Morris right now. I don't give a damn about your 2 championships you got. What have you done lately? You got an idiot for an offensive coordinator in Mike Bobo. You got an idiot as a coordinator in Zach Robinson. So we're seeing the same thing. 2 stubborn-ass coaches that don't want to change, but yet and still want to call out the fans and say certain things and try to play it off. You hear this. You don't want to hear what we got to say because you know we're right. You don't want to be wrong. And we're seeing that, and I'm just being honest with you on that. The difference is Georgia won the SEC championship game, but they shot themselves in the foot with idiotic play calling at the worst time. At the worst time. Same with the Falcons. The Falcons had idiotic moments this year. So all I'm saying is this: you play to win the game. To hell with all the politics, to hell with being politically correct. Win the damn ball game. That is where I'm at with it. You got a ton of talent. Use this talent. Don't let it go to waste, because once that window closes, it takes a while to get back. You got a lot of young guys right now that are hungry. And the moment they get disappointed and they're tired of dealing with the charades and the BS, they're going to walk. You don't want this team to walk away. You have a lot of great talent with the Atlanta Falcons right now. A lot of great young talent. But the problem is this: when you have somebody that is stubborn, that doesn't want to listen, that wants to just be, how can I put it? Raheem Morris is what I call a recidivist. He's a repeat offender. And if those who don't understand what the recidivist term means, he's repeating the same thing. All I'm saying is, and that's the word for today. So you're going to hear that. You know, I like to bring up some vocabulary here and there, but today's word of the day is recidivist. Raheem Morris is a recidivist. Kirby Smart is a recidivist. And I'm seeing it on both the teams that I pull for. You got a recidivist head coach in both positions, period. And they refuse to change. And the sad part about it is it takes for somebody to put your nuts in a vice grip to make you change. You shouldn't have to get to that point. Pride comes before the fall, and you don't need to fall when you have the tools to win. That's just what that is. When you have the tools to win, you do it, because you don't know how long you're going to have. I'm going to be honest with you. Been dealing with some things, and this is outside of football, and this is just honest to God truth. The young lady, the lady who I shouted out last week on the show, Miss Marva Scarborough, it's my girlfriend's mom. We sit back and we talk about a lot of different things. And, you know, she passed away. Possibly is going to be my mother-in-law eventually. But, you know, the one thing she always said was, you can't take it with you. You can't take it with you. Guess what? You live every day like it's your last. And she meant that. Cruises, going to ball games, marathons, did everything you would want to do. And that's one of the things that you can respect, when people actually understand that you don't have every moment promised to you. So the way that you handle not having every moment promised to you in the moment that you're living in, you pretty much treat it like it's your last, and you pretty much don't take it for granted. Because we've taken a lot of stuff for granted in the city of Atlanta. Because for for my Falcon fans that are 20 plus years in, we know what lean times are. This ain't new to us. This is normal for us. But for those who are just getting into the club, you have to understand this. Politics, stubbornness, and things of that sort will keep us from winning a championship. And until we get past this, we're going to be having the same damn conversations at this point. Same conversations. What's good, Rich?
Man, I just wanted to come up here and wish you happy new year. I ain't really got much, so a lot to say. I just wanted to drop something I was thinking about yesterday when I first read the post
Yeah.
about Terry. Man, when I first read, I seen it probably like 4 or 5 days ago, but it wasn't a credible site. So then when I seen Bleacher Report say it, like yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I thought about? Because me and my sister talked about this. Because being PSL holders, they mad because they understand that Terry is not the problem. Like my sister said, Terry is not the problem. And what I was thinking about was, I said, now, it's one or two things with me. Terry must be tired of being a yes man. So everybody that's tired of being a yes man getting fired. Or I said, you know what? That'd be one of the dumbest decisions we make. And then it hit me. I said, you know what? As much as I love my team, that sounds like some BS we'll do. We just do. I'm just being honest. It sounds like something we'll do.
I'm laughing with you, Nando. I'm laughing with you, Rich. And Nando was saying it earlier. And here's the thing, Rich. I tell people all the time, when you look at the Falcons as a whole, we chop our nose off to spite our own face a lot of the time, or we shoot ourselves in the foot, or you blow off your pinky toe, you hobbling and you limping like old girl Della Reese was in Harlem Nights. You get what I'm saying? So at this point, I look at it like this. You have to put yourself in a position to be successful. You get what I'm saying? And I don't think that you become successful by letting go of the guy who got you out of debt, for number one, financially. For number two, was aggressive in the draft and brought you talent in both drafts. The 2 drafts he was in charge of, you look at the talent that he's brought in. Now, the only thing that I say is I think you need to get better with some of the talent you bring in with the undrafted free agency and the lower round picks. I feel as if we can do better in that asset, but I got to give him his credit because he hit home runs on the last 2 drafts. You got to give him that.
You know something else that made me think about too, though, right before I jumped on this. This is what actually made me jump on it. I'm sitting back listening to you talk, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, you know what this sort of showed me? Kirk Cousins was Raheem pick and Penix was Terry's pick. If you looking at, I'm just looking at it from every aspect because I thought about it when you started naming the people who didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
So when I thought about that, if it is a divide in there, it may be the divide in the front office versus the locker room, like you think. I'm just looking at it from every aspect and every angle. I'm not just trying to put it on the locker room and the players as well.
No. I know exactly what you're saying because at the end of the day, they both had to agree. They both had to agree on Penix because they both went to Seattle to go see him throw in the air.
But
both of them went. And
it's something you said that made me think that.
But they both agreed on that because I'm gonna be 100 with you. If Jaden Daniel, and I guarantee you that we were probably gonna try to trade up to get Jaden Daniels before we got Penix. Yeah, the tea leaves were there.
But I guarantee you, it was rumored that we was looking at JJ McCartney too because we didn't.
We were. It's not a rumor. It's true. It's not a rumor. It's actually true because we actually were at his workouts. The one thing that you can say about Jim Harbaugh developed quarterbacks. That's something you can't take away because Who do you think had Colin Kaepernick playing well against us when they went to the Super Bowl?
Both
And
of
going?
them do.
Andrew,
Both
think about
of,
it. Andrew Luck, another one.
both brothers do. That's the crazy part. Cause look at Justin Herbert now. Both the brothers.
Yeah, Justin Herbert. And you look at these guys now. Here's my thing, Jim. And you're old enough to remember this because, like I said, you're a little older than me. But I also remember when Jim Harbaugh was playing for the Colts and the Bears when I was a kid coming up. I remember Captain Comeback.
Yeah.
It was in for a reason. Jim Harbaugh was a killer. People don't understand how much of a killer he was as a quarterback. And when you took that mindset that he had as a killer and you develop young talent, young quarterbacks, every quarterback that he's developed up under him has done well. And one of the guys who we interviewed, and he's BirdCage alum, shout out to Coach Anthony Blaylock, former Cleveland Browns and Chicago Bears and San Diego Chargers cornerback. That was his teammate in Chicago before his career ended. They're still good friends to this day. And he tried to get Coach Blaylock to come with him to Stanford, come with him to Michigan, and he also called him for the San Diego job, which we talked about. And it's just different, but it's just different.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't. We just reanalyze it. That's why I took a step back because first of all, I had to cut emotional ties this season once we lost to the Jets because I knew that game was going to be detrimental. That's the only game that is detrimental to why we not in the playoffs. It's not even all the other games we lost. It's the Jets game in particular.
And what made it bad was I was front row and center for that. I got them pictures. I was sitting there in that stadium watching that because if you win that Jets game and you just won all those other games, you're pretty much in the driver's seat to win. You're pretty much in the driver's seat to have a playoff spot at this point. Not the division, but a playoff spot. And that Jets loss pretty much ended any hope of that.
Hey, and see, that's what made me reanalyze everything because now, and shout out to Winston Thornton because me and him have talked about this. I believe that this is Zach Robinson's actual playbook with Kirk Cousins, but the reason why he couldn't do it with Pennis is not because Pennis couldn't get under center, is because the protection changed. When I thought about that, now had that been McGarry out there instead of Wilkerson, even though Wilkerson didn't do very, very bad, but it's a difference when you have a Wilkerson versus a McGarry. So remember, we couldn't even run to the right side for the whole first part of the season. And that's our best side is the right side. That was always guaranteed. So
but I got ridiculed earlier this year by half the fan base and some people that's even in my own group when I spoke and I said, y'all don't really understand that the right side is the worst side because that's his blind side, and you got a guy that's not that good. Okay, Wilkinson held it down for a few games.
That's what made him stay in the pistol because with the pistol, he keep everything in front of him. He ain't got to worry about a blind side. But if you go in the center, he got to worry about a blind side. And being that Wilkerson, he's not as much shit as we, excuse my language, but as much shit as we gave McGarry for the past 2 or 3 years when he went down. I even gave him shit.
I'm gonna let you listen. I'm gonna let that one slide, but we can't keep doing that.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, we can't keep doing that, bro. Like I got it. I had to clamp down on a couple of guys in my group for some stuff, so I can't. If I got to get on them, I got to get on people that come in here. Look, we don't. Oh no. I'm speaking this because I got some folks that's gonna be trying to come in too. Listen, if y'all come in here, we don't mind you speaking freely. You can say damn, ass, hell. But you can't use the S word, MF, all this here. You can't get stupid. The stuff you hear on regular television, you can use, but the stuff you don't hear that we got in the barbershops and at the cookouts and things, you can't bring that up in here. So I'm just letting you know for a warning now. But go ahead, bro. Sorry about that.
No, I was just saying it's just funny to me that I think I'm more so along the line of agreeing with Winston because when the protection, now if McGarry had still been in there, I think Penix would have went under center. I don't think it's that his knees were bad, he couldn't play under center. I'm more so along the lines of, because even with Kirk in there under center, Wilkerson was still getting worked a little bit, but Kirk has just seen so much that he knows how to get out of certain situations that Penix doesn't. And that's rightfully so. He's been in the game long enough to know certain like coverages and defensive schemes, even if they disguise it a little bit, where he know, okay, I may have to make my movement to the left because Wilkerson might fold against him. You see, so but Penix doesn't know stuff like that. So I think they did that more along the line. I think that's why that Robinson playbook was. And I hate to say this because I'd rather you get rid of Zach Robinson than Terry, and I'm just being honest about that. But I do believe that this is that because it brings me back to what I said at the beginning of the season. I believe Kirk Cousins was brought in here to help Zach build his scheme versus Zach trying to see if his scheme worked. I don't think his scheme was completely built, and I think Kirk Cousins was brought in here to help him with his scheme. Because you got to think he's a first-time coordinator. He need a quarterback that's going to tell him, nah, this don't work. Because, you know, like you said this before, Penix was more so a yes man at quarterback where he didn't get the authority to say, this ain't working. He can say it, but they may not take it to heart. Like if Kirk come over on the sideline, you see how Kirk get. Kirk be like, look.
It's a difference night and day. But if we sit back and you think about it, I tell people all the time. Now, the one thing that's I'm about to tie into this because a lot of people are asking about it. You got Matt Ryan having an opportunity to join, to join the office. You get what I'm saying? You got an opportunity to bring a guy in here, but then it's a mixed bag of emotions with Falcon fans right now because you got a lot of them saying that they're ready to get rid of the stench of 2016. Anybody that had anything to do with that Super Bowl loss, people are saying they want them out the door. But then you have people that are saying that, okay, the pieces that actually were working, they want to keep them here. So it's a split between both. And when you look at what we say with Matt Ryan having an opportunity to come in and be in his office, you're bringing him in to save face. You're bringing him in to atone for what you did when you got rid of him. Here's the thing. We got rid of him too late. We waited till his skills were eroded when we did it. My thing was, if we were going to get rid of him at the time, and I'm a fan of Matt's, I'll tell you that now because of how he won. You should have gotten rid of him when he was still able to produce and get something for him.
After 2017.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you were going to get rid of him, you should have got rid of him in the 2017 season and tried to get something for that to build off of. But you have to look at everything from a perspective of Arthur Blank doesn't understand you got to get rid of players before they fall out. A lot of people hated Bill Walsh, by the way. A lot of people in that 49ers organization that played for him, they hated him. But the thing that Walsh was great at, he knew when to let go of a player and when to bring a guy in and bring a guy up. He understood the talent evaluation portion of it. So when I look at it, a lot of guys had hard feelings with him when he was a general manager for a period of time, and it was a lot of rifts with a lot of guys once they left. Think about it. He got rid of Ronnie Lott while he was still in his prime. He got rid of Joe while he was still Joe Cool, and he went to Kansas City. You look at how that organization, they were dominant all through the 80s and even partially through the 90s. They were still tough because this is our division rival I'm talking about when we were in the NFC West. Yeah. And you look at how they handled business. Fast forward to now, we hold on to guys too long. We have to quit having so much attachment to guys and understanding that this business is about winning and about being able to produce. We have to get to that point.
That's why I like Terry, even though I wanted the fans. I wanted to get rid of Matt Ryan, but I ain't gonna act like it didn't hurt when we did because I understood the carousel we about to go through that a lot of fans really didn't understand. But but you have to go through it. It is what it is. You if you want to be great, you have to go through the process. We just went through it too late. We should have did it earlier. But in the same token, I ain't gonna cap like it didn't hurt when we let him go. But it took someone like Terry to really make that type of decision, whether we liked it or not. Just like I'm not mad at a lot of Terry decisions. I'm not mad.
No. Terry, like we said earlier, and for those who are tuning in, thank you guys for tuning in. We see you coming in here. There is a link within the chat or whatnot that we put out there. So if you would like to come in here and talk a little bit about the Falcons before the Saints game, we're also doing that, but we're also talking about the state of the Falcons getting ready to go into this offseason. Let's get a little bit into this game. AJ Terrell's going to be out for pretty much for this game, which it sucks that he's going on the injury report. But you know what? At this point, there's no need to sit there and put him in a spot where we're going to have him, who's a starter next year, to be hurt. It's just period.
I wish they sit Drake down. I'm tired of that.
I'm with you on this. Jake Matthews got whipped last game like a government mule. It's just what it is. He's getting long in the tooth. I respect the durability. I respect the fact that he comes to play. But it comes a point in time when you have to get rid of a man. You cut a man. And you can do it with class and grace because he's been here for over 10 years and he's been reliable. You can go ahead and do so. It's okay. Guys' skills erode all the time. It happens. It's part of life. Father Time is undefeated when it comes to guys playing for a minute.
But see,
you look at this
I
defense.
didn't want to get rid of Terry because I know exactly what Terry going to get out this draft. Don't be surprised.
Left tackle.
If this draft ain't sexy, people, don't be surprised because we're going to get some offensive linemen. We're going to get some wide receivers. We may go get another, big guy in the middle and maybe another linebacker. But this ain't gonna be no sexy draft. This gonna be O-line. But we seen it this year, so you should already know what he's finna go get if he here.
I gotta give a shout out to my guy. We got A1 Forever Sports in here. Y'all check him and Smitty out. They doing their thing over there. But I gotta give a big shout out to my guy, Roddy Nabusi, who actually hosts the Georgia Bulldogs show, the Overreaction show. He covers the Georgia Bulldogs. Definitely shared that. I extended the invite today. I think you might be a little busy trying to wrap up some things for the transfer portal in the offseason. Roddy, I want to thank you for having me on your show all this season, letting me come in, and you also help promote the show. I want to thank you for that. Definitely look forward to working with you in the offseason, talking some football, because we're going to have some shows, and we definitely would love to get you on here for an interview or whatnot, because Roddy also, whether people know it or not, he covers the Dogs, but he's a huge Falcons fan. And he tells the story about him going to back in Sewanee back in the day, sitting next to William Andrews. He said, I was offensive lineman, but he said, my thighs were as big as Williams. And he said, William just had a little bit more speed than me. And Roddy was a young guy when he did that, but he's definitely one of the best in the game. If you're a Georgia Bulldog fan, please check out his podcast, Overreaction Show, and also subscribe to his articles or whatnot that he writes or whatnot. So shout out to my guy Roddy Nabusi. He definitely is one of the best in the game, and I'm very grateful to have him that I work with. But speaking of working on some things, we're gonna go ahead and take a quick commercial break real quick, and we're gonna pay some bills, man. If y'all want to come in here, come on in, man. We got you covered. You know how we get down. You either get right or you get left. Let's get this commercial going. Swooping in like the peregrine falcon, the BirdCage is going to take you on a journey. Tap in with us before every Falcons game. We have the pregame meal where fans can come in, talk about their likes, dislikes, and concerns for the upcoming game. Also, we have the halftime analysis that you check out. And then we have, for every fan afterwards, the party line and benediction post-game show. You know how we get down. You either get right or you get left. We'll catch it in. Ghost. All right, we're right back in the place to be. Here's something else that we got to talk about, because when you look at what happened with this morning with Adam Schefter and Mike Greenberg this morning, they pretty much they're leaning safe when it comes to job security for Raheem Morris with the Falcons. Myles Garrett posted this. If you haven't seen it, they talked about how the team started to play well at the end of the season, but unfortunately, the Falcons do this every year when they're out of contention. They start to play well when the season is out of hand. And now you're going to have Raheem coming back next year. And the question is, how do you put pressure on him? How do you get him to make a change with this offensive coordinator situation? How do you get him to start producing? Because that's 2 mediocre seasons that you've had, and you could have won the division 2 years in a row. When is enough? Rich, what you got?
As much as I hate to say this, because I have been listening to some media people, I don't know none of their names or nothing. I got to start remembering that. But it was one that particular I was watching that usually be hating on us, and I cannot think of his name. And it ain't it ain't him. It's another one. But even he was like, if you're a Falcon fan, you got to be pretty. He said, I know the way the season went looked crazy, but he said, one thing that y'all got out of this is knowing y'all got a defense. So now the only problem you really got to fix is y'all offensive line issues. So y'all really can't. He said, I know y'all fans mad, but you can't really be mad because he sort of blamed the offensive line for Penix accident too. He didn't really blame Penix for that. He blamed the offensive line because he's like that offensive line hadn't been holding up the whole season for real. He said, but that's another reason why it's sort of hard for me with Zach Robinson, not because I like Zach Robinson, but because I know what he can say to stay. You see what I'm saying? I'm down all these offensive linemen. My receiver had a collarbone injury. You see what I'm saying? It's like you can say what you want about it, but he can lean on that. So the fact that you want him gone, I'm starting not to really see it as much as I really want to see it because I believe, see, part of what I believe is this is his real playbook with Kirk Cousins. It's just like I said with the protection change that you did get a lot of scrutiny about when you said about Wilkerson, because even I was like, Ryan, you got to give him a chance. Ryan, like, no.
You remember I told you, we got to see what Wilkerson looked like. And here's the thing. You either can play or you can't. I understand that you have to fit the system. I get it. You get what I'm saying? You have to be able to fit the system. But when you look at it from this point, and I'm gonna turn it to a positive tune after I put this point out, you got a quarterback that throws with his left hand, and you got his blind side pretty much to the right. So if you can't protect his blind side or whatnot at that right tackle spot, you got to go. And the thing is, there have been many good right tackles that we could have gone after, but we chose not to. You get what I'm saying? So at this point, now that you know what the scheme is, that it's not just the tackle spot.
These last two drafts had some right tackles. Because you even said go get old boy on Baltimore.
I told you, Carson Vincent out of Alabama A&M would have been perfect in this offense because if you go and everybody laughed at me because he's coming from a small black college down to Alabama A&M.
Everywhere on that offensive line. That's why Lamar y'all see how long Lamar be really standing in that pocket. That's what started to make me question his quarterback skill because he be getting way more time than Penix get it. Penix had that time in the pocket.
But Rich, here's the thing. Carson Vincent is a starting offensive lineman for the Baltimore Ravens right now. He's been starting since day one. A true rookie that came in from a small black college that only gave up 1 sack. Actually, no, he gave up no sacks during his whole 4 years there. He gave up no sacks, and he played center, guard, and he played tackle. He was versatile. And you're talking about a guy that's around 6'7", 330 that can move like a ballerina in the trenches, but he hits like a Mack truck. And when you look at that, that was a guy that I pointed out that we should have gone after. So far, a lot of the lower tier guys that I've pointed out, because you're not going to get all the big name guys. When we talk about scouting and you talk about understanding the game and understanding how players are, you've got to be able to evaluate talent with these. A lot of people don't understand how to watch film. They look at highlight reels and they're like, oh, this guy's this. No, you got to look at footage of a guy when stuff doesn't go right? How does he react?
Hey,
Look,
you know what?
how he's battled.
Hey, you know what? That's why I'm mad at the Falcons not utilizing. At least I ain't gonna say utilizing. What I say
Yeah.
is coaching up Nick Nash, because I went back and watched that man film.
Mm-hmm.
He was a whole offense, literally. They didn't have nobody else. And when they doubled him, then other people were open. But he is more of a Drake type player versus the speed guy that you need. So I get it. But it's just like with Kobe Bryant. Y'all know what y'all got sitting on y'all bench. I just get tired of them playing crazy. Chris Blair. Why is I didn't understand. Now let me explain this to you. I don't mean to be off topic, but I didn't understand how you bring up Carlos Washington versus Chris Blair when you seen that when it was time to go make a play, even though Carlos Washington could have caught the ball, it caused him a concussion because he's not tall enough and strong enough to bring it down. And so when he got popped, you remember he got popped in that Washington game. Chris Blair, if he'd have got popped like that, at least he'd have held on to the ball. I watched him do that all preseason.
Now, the one thing that we got positive going today offensively, because this ties into it, Bijan Robinson only needs 145 yards from scrimmage today, and he'll be the third NFL player in history with 2,400 yards from scrimmage. And for you to get that, you surpassed the legendary, you're surpassing some legendary players that have played this game. And, you know, when you talk about the Roger Craigs, the Marshall Faulks, the Chris Johnsons, the William Andrews, I'm talking about guys who were doing it from multiple spots. And to me,
and that's all they talking about on every media outlet.
But here's the problem, and I'm gonna say this: yeah, he was a rival, but to me, Roger Craig should have been in the NFL Hall of Fame years ago. And when you talk about a guy that was the first player to do it, first player to 1,000 yards rushing and receiving in the same season, it's a and he's got 3 Super Bowls in his back pocket, and never his whole career. Every team he played on played in the playoffs all the way up until his retirement. He never missed the playoffs in his career. Might have lost in it, but never missed the playoffs, and always was a productive player. So at this point, go ahead and put that man in the Hall of Fame, because guess what? Bijan is chasing him. Bijan is chasing a Marshall Faulk. Bijan is chasing a Thurman Thomas. And we're talking about great players, because when Bijan was drafted.
One point, though, that Bijan have over every single last one of them, because that's all every media outlet talking about, is the fact that he did all this before the age of 24.
Well, nah, I'm not going to get nah. He wasn't the first to do it. That was Roger Craig, sir. That's the reason I put that out there. I ain't letting you do that. Nope. Roger Craig was the first to do it. But here's the thing. But no, I hear what you're saying. But how many times has the media been wrong about information that's been put out, sir?
They've been wrong. I didn't know that.
I'm saying how many times have we seen the media be wrong, because Roger Craig was the first to do it. A lot of people don't talk about that. Before he was 25, Roger Craig did it before he was 25.
No, they were saying he did it before 24 or something.
No, I'm saying Roger did that before he was 24. You do realize that Roger was in the league for a little while or whatnot, and he came in before he was 24. And he did it before then.
I don't even know who that is, Ryan. That's what I'm trying to
Wait a minute. You don't know who Roger Craig is? 49ers running back, 49ers legend that used to kill everybody?
I was never a 49ers fan.
No, but they were in our division, and they were a rival, dog. Roger Craig is one of the best one of the best to ever do it, bro. And he was in our division. Like,
see, I was more of a Thurman Thomas and Smith fan. Other than that, I get it. What I'm saying is I wasn't never really offensive person. I've always been a defensive person.
Well, put it this way. If you don't know who he is, me and you, we talk offline. I send you some stuff so you can actually see. He was one of them. But outside of that, I'm just mentioning It's a lot of guys who've done it, and Bijan is getting ready to be in that class with these type of backs or whatnot, and these are elite backs. Now, again, as I said before, when he was drafted, I compared him to Thurman Thomas. It's identical. They come out of the backfield and catch perfectly. They block. Bijan has a little bit more twitch than Thurman, but everything is exactly like Thurman Thomas, bro. Real talk.
I just don't be like it.
And people forget that Thurman was an MVP in this league, and Thurman is the only man to keep Barry. Think about it. Thurman kept a prime Barry Sanders on the bench when they was in college. So that should tell you something. And he did it with one leg.
Yeah. That's what I said.
But with this ball game,
have it through the league.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna ask you this. So with this ball game today, Chris Olave's out. Even though I hate the Saints, hopefully you get better, man. Them blood clots are nothing to play around with, man. Get better soon. Get that blood clot removed, and get back out here so we can continue to punish you or whatnot when you play against the Falcons. But you know, when you look at this offense for the Saints, you still got to deal with Kamara. You still have to deal with Tyler Stroh, who's starting to get better a little bit. And you look at everybody in this ball game that is sitting for the Saints. They've had injuries, but they started to play well. How do you attack New Orleans in this game and pretty much put us in a position to win this ball game?
You can't fumble the coaching. Coaching can't fumble today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worried about the players. Because one thing I did notice, this offensive line woke up for Kirk Cousins. So you starting to see more offense. And with the defense, man, look, Aubrey got my full trust and faith. We ain't got nothing to talk about for real, because you've done your job all year, sir. Sir, I want to give you your flowers. You've done your job all year. Has it looked pretty every game? No. Is it stuff we still need? Yes. But you've been the first defensive-minded coach to come in here and take what you've got, regardless of if they're good or bad, and make it work. You took players that we thought didn't even know the playbook and turned them into monsters. From my understanding, they didn't know the playbook last year, so they couldn't play. That's what we was facing as a fan base. You came in here and said, no, sir, no. Why is he not here? Why is he not here? You brought Nate Ollie with you, and y'all said we're going to play players in their natural position. We're not going to do no experimenting. We're going to go get players who play the position that we want. That's another reason why I got to tip my hat to Terry, because I was unfamiliar with Divine Diablo. I'm just going to be honest with you. Didn't even know who he was.
I remembered him when he was in college, when he played around Virginia Tech. I remember him. And even though they weren't good, it's just his thing, man. When you talk about different players or whatnot, he was one of them. I think the biggest, I'm going to tell you this here. A lot of people going to get mad when I say it, but I think one of the players that need to go, and he's never going to touch the field because that's 2 years missing with injury, it's Braylon Trace. At this point, I don't want him here because an injured player is no different from a bad player. Guess what? No production. So at this point, business-wise, I'm getting ready to slide you up out of here. You're on your rookie contract. I want you gone. I need somebody that's going to be here, that's going to be able to produce, somebody that's going to be healthy. And I've already said this, and I've already got a list of guys that you can bring in that can really help this team. And when we talk about depth for this team, depth has been a problem for years. A lot of people are starting to come around to it now, and you're starting to hear people come on this show and say, oh, yeah, well, we got depth issues. I've been preaching this mess for years, but yet and still, I was a hater when I said it, but it's gospel when everybody else comes in here. Hell no. Not letting you get off with that. And that's even in my own crew. No. Hell no. From people that come in here, and I love my fan base, but I'm not going to let y'all do that now, because when it was a problem and it was first pointed out, everyone was like, well, you're just too hard and all this. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, look, we don't have championship depth right now. And I'm speaking on O-line and D-line. Until you get the offensive line and the defensive line set, it's a problem. You got to get a defensive tackle. We've been preaching this for years. Grady played defensive tackle undersized and out of position his whole time in Atlanta. Yes, he played well, but again, that was not his natural technique. Grady's a 3 technique. He's not a 0 tech. And we've passed on multiple times where we could have Byron Murphy, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Newton out of Washington. That's a 0 tech. You just missed on JJ Pegues. You just missed on Zeke Biggers out of Georgia Tech.
Brady was so happy during that Super Bowl year when we went and got players like Adrian Claiborne and other players.
Because they understood that. And at this point, we need to go back and look at Kirk Ferentz's defense right now at Iowa and start looking at some of these D linemen. Because the one thing you know that you're going to get is durability and meanness. Same with the offensive line. And the other thing we got to draft.
That's why I was happy when we drafted old boy, even though, it take offensive linemen a little bit longer, Jack Nielsen. But one thing I know about that Wisconsin and Wyoming type area, that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Defense and offense, them boys live cows. It's like that because it's the same way as when teams go and play like a team from the city go play like a Valdosta or something. Like when we played football, playing players in the city different than playing them cow-lifting country boys with meanness to them on either side of the ball. So when you look at schools like that, I look at schools like that and I like that pickup because those are schools that you get yourself offensive linemen from. Those are schools that you get your big guys from. And then you also look at some of the smaller schools, and I see that they starting to look at HBCUs a whole lot more, and I'm happy about that.
Man, let's be real on this, man. Rich, Falcons ain't looking at HBCUs like that.
No,
only reason why I'm speaking on us. And the reason why I'm saying that is because Arthur Blank used it for a tax write-off when he donated that money. It's just what it is. We're HBCUs, you know what I'm saying? And I've been champion for those schools since I started this podcast. You get what I'm saying? And my thing is this. You're using it as a tax write-off, but you're not bringing these kids in and giving them a true chance to play for this team. You're not. And that's a problem at this point.
That's part of your depth problem, too, because these championship teams that I'm talking about, they'll go to an HBCU and get their depth.
They want to get – here's the thing. I'm going to give you this. I said this on the halftime show last week when we were playing against the Rams. I said, hands down, there was a kid that I pointed out in Xavier Smith that plays for the Rams as a receiver and a punt returner. And I said the Falcons had a chance to get him, but they chose not to. 4.3 speed, dominant player, offensive player of the year in the HBCU ranks when his senior year. And he's got a national championship up under him because when FAMU won the Celebration Bowl, he was a big contributor to that. When you saw what happened against the Rams when they were starting to make a comeback last week, he was the single guy that was killing the Falcons by himself. And let's be honest, we got away with a PI. It is what it is. We got away with a PI with him last week because AJ Terrell was burnt. AJ Terrell was burnt when he ran on his side. AJ couldn't run with him. And again, you're talking about a guy that has 4.3 speed, 4.4 when he's tired, and hands like glue, tough as nails. And this is something that I tell people all the time. When you get HBCU players, a lot of them, you get some of them that get recruited because they're not looked at by anybody. But then you have the ones that go to these schools that have grade issues or they've gotten in trouble. And this is the place that they're going to get an opportunity. It's so many gyms at these schools right now. So many gyms. So until we start recruiting here, if you're not going to bring in Georgia Bulldogs or guys from some of these other schools, Tennessee bringing in other stuff or whatnot. If you're just gonna focus on bringing these West Coast kids in, here's the thing: start looking at these schools down south to start getting your depth.
Hey, I
D-line,
think that's
O-line, huh?
I'm gonna be honest. Jalen Walker and James Pearson really I think they solidified it for him. I think they
Agreed. But are they gonna go? But here's the thing: are they gonna go back to it? Because here's the thing.
Oh yeah.
If here's the thing. So if you don't pay Kyle Pitts, if they don't want to go down and pay that money, I know a lot of people are like, oh man, no. I'm just being honest with you on that. If they choose not to pay him, because we're not gonna pay him wide receiver money and he ain't a wide receiver. Say what you want. The math don't add up.
He's good with that. I don't think he want wide receiver money. I think he
wants man. Look, everybody want that guaranteed money, Rich.
No, I ain't saying no guaranteed money.
That's why I've been saying, nah, he'll take that wide receiver money. He'd be a fool not to.
No, what I'm saying is, even though you're getting utilized as a wide receiver, I think he's comfortable in his tight end position. So if you pay him tight end money, I think he'd be comfortable with that because he won't. This is what gives me a little hope. Because what I'm noticing is, even though Kirk Cousins is behind center, I'm noticing that nobody really wants to leave, and I know why they don't, because I think they want to wait to see what sort of happens with Penix a little bit, because I think they like Penix. I think they believe in him. Not saying that that's what we're going to do. I'm just saying is why I think certain players would not accept, home field discount,
But Rich, here's the thing that you got to do today. Like when we speak on that, we got to get more disciplined football players here. Today is an example of that. Can we cut down on these penalties? Can we put ourselves in a position to where we got football players that are not scared to compete, guys that are willing to lay it all on the line? Because right now we have a lot of undisciplined things with this football team that needs to be fixed. We have a lot of things that we need to bring in here. You got to start bringing in guys that are hungry because, and I hate to say it, but it's just the honest to God truth. And then we're going to get to the scope predictions. NIL has hurt a lot of guys getting to the league. And Coach Prime said this in an interview recently. And he said, hands down, a lot of guys are chasing the bag and not chasing the game. When you chase the game and the passion for the game, the bag comes with it. You have to learn the game opposed to chasing this quick money. Because guess what? When you chase the game, you learn. You learn the game. You learn how to handle large amounts of money, and you put yourself in the position to be teachable when you get to that next level when you're chasing greatness. When you just chase the bag, you're not trying to learn. You're just trying to get a quick dollar. And you want to have longevity, but you also want to have knowledge of the game that will carry you further along. Even though it's a business, and I get it, you got to get paid. But in the long run, you either going to pay now or pay later, like the old folks say. What you got for this score prediction, man? Because we only got a few minutes before this game starts.
Man, I think it's going to be low-scoring, big defensive game. So I'm going to say 21-24 Falcons.
Mm-hmm. I got you with 24-17 Falcons. I think it's going to be the defense that's going to make a play at the end. And it's just one of those things where you see the Falcons having to take care of business or whatnot in this here. Monte Carlo. Yeah, echelon number, that D lineman that kept knocking down those passes from Gunnar Stockton impressed me too, because he played the run well and he knows how to put his hands up and create hard windows for quarterbacks to throw to with the length that he has. So if we do draft a D tackle, I'm okay with bringing him in from Ole Miss. I'm all right with that because we know what he can do. But Rich, let the folks know where they can find you at, my guy.
Yeah, you can find me at Dirty Falcon Podcast. Starting this off season, I will be setting up a schedule and all of that. This was a test run, dry run, basically. So now I'm gonna get more into it and more in tune with it. So you catch me at Dirty Falcon Podcast.
That's a bet, my guy. Definitely appreciate you tapping in with us for the pregame meal. I expect to see you for the post game show if you're not elsewhere spreading gospel.
You know it.
Yes, sir.
It.
All right,
All
Rich.
right.
Hey, man, that was King Richie. Y'all check him out on his podcast. Definitely, he's got a lot going. I'll say with the last few minutes we got on the show, I think that we have a lot of things that we have to tighten up on for next season. But today, you got to sweep the Saints. Everything else is out the window. The one thing that you have right now is a chance to sweep your arch rivals and walk away with a three-way tie for first place in the division. You're not at the bottom of the barrel, but you got to win today. And if you can't win today, it's going to be a shame. It's going to be a shame because now you're going to be probably second in the division at that point. But today, you win. It's a three-way tie for this division. And I would rather be in a three-way tie for first place opposed to looking up at somebody. We can say, you know what? We had a rough season, but guess what? We finished this thing tied. And also, shout out to everyone that's tuned in to the show today. I definitely appreciate you guys giving some time. I'm going to have the halftime report, and then we're going to have the post-game show, the party line or the benediction. Hopefully we get another party line because Party Line Lounge has been popping, as we would say, definitely been enjoying it or whatnot. But we definitely appreciate you tapping in for the pregame meal. Y'all be blessed. We'll catch you at halftime. Ghost.